Good afternoon. Welcome to the final and 8th session of European Entrepreneurship and Innovation Thought Leaders here at Stanford University in the Mechanical Engineering Department. My name is Burton Lee. I'm the course instructor and lecturer. Today we are going to be covering primarily Estonia and Poland, but we also have a surprise guest speaker out of Belarus. So today we're actually presenting our first speakers from Poland and Belarus, which is quite exciting for us. Today is also official Enterprise Estonia Day. We'd like to thank Enterprise Estonia again for your sponsorship of the speaker series. This is the final session out of 8 this quarter. Just to go over briefly who's going to be presenting, our primary speakers are Ragnar Sass of Garage48 out of Tallinn, and Krzysztof Kowalczyk. Did I get that right, Krzysztof?
Yeah, Kowalczyk.
From HardGamma, GammaRebels out of Warsaw. Andrus Viirg will give a brief overview of the Estonian innovation ecosystem, and Tania Marinich of BEL.BIZ out of Minsk will give a very brief snapshot of what's happening on the Belarus startup ecosystem scene. Garage48 may be well known to some of you for its work in the Nordics, but also in Africa. They're a very interesting model for essentially bringing economic development, startup entrepreneurship out of the Nordic region into Africa, for example. And HardGamma, Gamma Ventures, Gamma Factories, very interesting bootcamp accelerator out of Poland. And as I mentioned again, this is our first Polish speaker here in this series. So our first speaker will be Andrus Viirg.
Thank you. Thank you, Burton, and it's a pleasure to be back here again. It is somewhat challenging to say a few words about Estonia, and especially what we are good at in 5 years in a row, but I'm quite lucky. There is a lot of information coming out of Estonia. So I'm representing Enterprise Estonia here in Silicon Valley, and Enterprise Estonia is sort of a business development agency working on investment, trade, and also innovation transfers. And we have a global network of representative offices, and here in US it's only here in Silicon Valley, but we do have also in Shanghai, in Tokyo, in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, also in Stockholm, in our Nordic neighbors, Helsinki, and now also in Oslo and London. So that was about Enterprise Estonia, but I will start out with a map and a quiz. Does anybody know what it is? It has been quite visible in the world recently, also here in California, and especially in Russia. It was crashing visible in Russia. Actually, it is a map of all the meteorite hits that have come to the Earth since 2300 BC, and actually one of them hit also Estonia. That was really about 3,000 years back. And it went straight to the lake. Actually, that's a joke. The lake formed after the hit. As it was so recent in human history, so it was picked up by some Greek mythology. So Ultima Thule, the burning island, could be reflected to this. It hit, yes, that place there. Actually, one of the islands in Estonia. And also the chariot of the sun when Python fell down to Earth. So we do have a long history to say, and of course you already know where Estonia is on the European map. We are pretty young in this sense that we were independent from 1991 and joined the European Union in 2004, also NATO, and 2011, we also joined the European currency, the euro. So these are the so-called basic facts. But what is Estonia known of, and what we are good at? So definitely we are in the Nordic Europe, as you saw it already on the map. But we also want to say that we are a low-tax Nordic country. Sorry, our other Nordic neighbors, but that's real life. Of course, there is the Nordic mentality, and then there are now the business links. So it's so integrated to all the Northern European businesses, all the timber, electronics, whatever, the banking. We are all good at the same things. And about the tax system, we do have a flat tax system of 21%, which is equal for everybody. Are they companies or are they private persons? And there is the trick that the companies pay it only when they take out the profit as dividends. If they keep the annual profits on the so-called bank account, there are no income or profit tax. Then, of course, we are known as the so-called Estonia. We still want to say that Skype was born in Tallinn, in Estonia, with the help of one Swede and one Dane, but there were actually 4 Estonian engineers who did it or coded, and they were the same guys who were behind Kazaa previously, so that was the music sharing network. And then I think Estonia can be seen also like a tech entrepreneur's paradise, because there are so many applications available from the government side or from the private sector, starting with e-tax boards. We are the first country that is using e-elections, so actually you can vote on municipal and on the national level through internet. And all these applications definitely are in need of cyber defense issues. And that's why we also have the NATO Cyber Defense Center in Tallinn, and also Symantec, which is the Silicon Valley connection, has one of their biggest engineering teams in Europe, also in Estonia, in Tallinn. And now recently, there is also, our country is the home of the EU IT agency. We're also a country of startups, so we are the startup nation. I'm bringing this slide up again from last year. Actually, that was shared in 2011 in London at the Seed Camp, where 20 companies, out of 20 companies, 4 were Estonians, and 2 were actually finalists from Estonia. And the same thing happened in 2013. So in this sense, per capita, we are really the startup nation, and I think the graphic here shows it very well. And Twitter hashtag Estonian Mafia was actually coined by a Silicon Valley VC, Dave McClure, couple of years ago. And what are the companies? Not so much connected with the Seed Camp, but what to watch. Actually, GrabCat. It was one of the Seed Camp finalists. It's like a Facebook of mechanical engineers. Then it's Fortuma. It's a mobile payment platform. Rovio, the Angry Birds, is actually using them heavily. So, and they just raised $10 million from Intel Capital and Greycroft like a couple of weeks ago for their Asian expansion. Then it's guard time. It's in the cybersecurity issue. They are doing the data authentication, and they were on the finalist list of the red herring in Asia. Actually, China Post is one of their biggest clients. It's a billion market. And then, of course, Pipedrive. Ragnar is also representing here. It's like a CRM for the salespeople. But it's not only electronics or the E and internet thing that we are good at. Estonia is also an oil country, but we are in some sense much tougher than our Norwegian or Saudi friends that actually we press the oil out of the stone. That's the oil shale. And our total electrical production, or the power production, is based on oil shale. And now we are also going to the so-called refinery business that Estonian Energy, the power company in Estonia, by 2016 will also do the diesel fuel that will be used by cars, and that would really can meet the market needs of Estonia. And NFIT, as it is known outside internationally, It's the same Estonian Energy that we have projects in Jordan doing a power plant for electrical power plant for with oil shale, and also in US, in Utah, the Estonian Energy has acquired 100% of the biggest privately owned oil shale properties there, and the idea is to start the same business doing the fuel, diesel gasoline. And more on the electrical side, Estonia is also going so-called electrically mobile. Last year we started our so-called electric vehicle promotion program. It started actually with the Mitsubishi. The Estonian government sold the CO2 certificates to Mitsubishi, and in reward got 500 electric vehicles for the government fleet, and also an incentive program for the consumers. And then actually this February we also opened the fast chargers network. So Estonia is now the first country in the world having the really nationwide electric vehicle charging stations. So it's actually every 50-60 kilometers you can charge your vehicle. And the partners in this program were ABB from Switzerland providing the technology, and of course Estonian company Now Innovations did all the software and mobile applications, and it was Now Innovations, and they are also present in US with Park Now apps doing the mobile parking, and also going for the electric vehicle charging stations. Estonia is also going to space. Actually, in April, we will be launching our first satellite. This is a student project. It took really 6 years, but at least there were many researchers involved, and also PhD thesis written on it. And it is actually also like a joint effort between the Nordics. The main task of the satellite will be researching the electric solar sail technology that was worked out by a Finnish developer. So in future years, that could be used in spacecraft going nowhere where no man has gone before. And I'm also taking this opportunity to promote some other events going or happening here in the valley on Estonia in June, where we'll be having a global Estonian days here in San Francisco, and part of these days is also a business conference, and of course it's the Skype phenomenon, and Tallinn as the startup capital of the world, it is the main topic. And Steve Jurvetson, who is the partner in DFJ, he is actually Estonian even by birth, as his both parents are Estonians. And for the art lovers, we will also have the Estonian Ballet in San Francisco at the same night. And further on in the summer in Tallinn, there is the European Innovation Academy for the whole month going on in Tallinn Tech University, and we have a couple of people from Tallinn Tech here as well in the audience, and they have been going through this academy, and they are actually an international team. So only one Estonian and 4 from other parts of Europe. So this is really focusing on the business model competitions, and also the Latitude 59 conference, which is already like a startup and venture capital networking event. So that was my short pitch on Estonia this time.
We have time for 2 questions for Andrus on Estonia. So, Andrus, the picture you showed of the map of the country with the yellow dots, are the yellow dots, can you go back to that? Were those the charging stations?
Yeah. These, yes. I thought not the world map with the meteorite hits. So,
right.
So these are actually the yellow dots are all the charging stations in Estonia now.
So now those are not intended to be future meteorite impact locations, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That was
So
this
if
map,
anyone
yeah.
who's worried about meteorite impact liability, go to Estonia and charge your cars and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually,
yes.
very close to the meteorite hit place, there is also a charging station. So
There you go. Yes, Elif.
You mentioned, you're part of the Nordic region, and I know you're collaborating a lot with Finland. Are they? You mentioned some of the collaborative projects. I assume there are a number with not just Finland, but maybe some of the other Nordic countries. Is there anything that, either in cybersecurity or other things, where you're really focusing collaborative projects in the Nordic region?
well, actually, probably the most recent one is actually with Norway, with Innovation Norway, that there is a joint project on the clean tech side, and Norway is providing funding for that project to find connections and cooperation deals in all the clean tech field, and that of course covers also the IT systems that can be used. So that's the most recent thing. And with Finland, there is on the startup scene, there is so-called Start Smart boot camps going on both on Estonia side and then Finland side, and this is like a joint effort between Finnish and Estonians, and Aalto University is also involved there, and our universities.
We had one question there. Yes, sir.
Yeah, great talk, Andrus. One of the most patriotic talks I think I've seen in a while. Good on you. Quick question. My name's Ben Austin. I've got an ideas lab in London. We do a lot of offshoring in Croatia and other places for development. What would you say is like the going rate for quality development of teams in Estonia? Can you put some perspective on that?
Well, as you saw, Skype has one of their biggest offices globally in Estonia, and also Symantec has a very big operation. But of course, looking at our population number, it's tough to get more and more developers. But we are very good at project management, so we can use other people in other neighboring countries.
But there's no kind of daily rate example. I mean, in Britain, I could give you kind of a number of kind of examples of rates. Just out of interest, really, because I've heard of Estonia for a while as a development hub, but I've never really kind of looked into it any further than today.
I was looking for an hourly rate for the program.
Well, we do have some Estonian really the programming guys, but I think it's getting very close to maybe even the Scandinavian figures. But maybe you have a better idea.
There is no, actually, you can't even. I'm Ragnar, who is like next presenter, but you can't almost hire any more people worldwide with different price. Even people in Belarus would ask actually the same price because they can Google. So and in Estonia, but the main problem what we are facing is the case that we have only 1.3 million people, and you can imagine we have maybe 10,000 people who can actually hack. We have already 500 in Skype, we have like 500 in whatever Nortal and so on. So we don't have too many available guys anymore. Everybody's already have found something excitement where to work. So it's the biggest challenge now, how to find real talented people in Estonia.
Christina, one quick question.
Hi. As an addition to the gentleman's question, you mentioned that Tallinn is one of the startup capitals of the world, and you have a disproportionate number of startups per capita. So what's the secret?
Well, I think one of the secrets is sitting behind, on your right. So that's you, Stan. So that's the Skype phenomenon actually, and many people who have been through Skype, they are starting their companies or being investors there.
Usually, if you look at the Estonian startups which are successful, almost in any has at least one Skype developer or somebody who has worked with Skype, and many people think that there is only one success story from Europe. In startup field, and this is Skype. So this has really helped Estonians to believe that this is possible to launch startup from Estonia. And historically, we have been very strong in historically Russian was giving quite good education and quite good strong mathematics, which means that we have quite great people. So that's the quality of the people is in Estonia great. Also, if you think about history, the Germans was in Estonia many centuries, so we are very punctual. So we are really keeping our promises, and I would say that it's really easy to work with Estonians not these other nations. Some nations are really like Greeks, example. Sorry.
Ragnar, are you recommending to the Greeks that they invite the Germans in to?
Actually, you know,
No, the Estonians
if you can do that, please do that.
Really good on this.
I just today actually received email from Greeks that they want Garage48 to go to Greece, so
Okay.
so never know.
Andrus, thank you very much. So I've met Ragnar in Estonia. He also just came from doing a really excellent event together with BEL.BIZ in Minsk last week. So Ragnar, tell us what's going on at Garage48.
Yes.
Thank you for coming all the way from Tallinn.
Thank you. And it's actually really great to be here because just a week ago I was in Belarus, and it was our most challenging event so far.
And just to be clear, I believe this is your Belarus partner.
Yeah, this is our Belarus partner. So
Tania Marinich from BEL.BIZ will be speaking after Ragnar.
so and you know, we have now in Europe like -10 by Celsius, and you have snow, you have like sun here. So it's really great to be here, and thank you for this invitation. So first, indeed, you know, I will shortly let me talk what is Garage48 about. And actually, this photo is made in Nigeria, where we had like. Where we were thinking that this is the most challenging country where to do hackathon, but Belarus was actually kind of more challenging. So, which is actually surprising for me, because when I was going to the Belarus, it was like, you know, this is part of the Europe. It is, but there was, you know, first time in my 20 years I saw part of Soviet Union is still existing, and there is a little bit in Belarus. But anyway, so Garage48 is started 3 years ago by 5 active entrepreneurs. And the reason was very simple. We wanted to do one event that is really focusing on the one thing, how to make things happen in 48 hours, to connect people with ideas and people who can actually execute them. And usually this is an event where we are collecting around 100 people, from 50 to 100 people. They have different backgrounds, like developers, marketers, project managers, visionaries, designers, and so on. And everybody can go to the stage. You can just present your idea, and in Fridays we will do team formation, and it's around 10 to 15 teams which will be starting to build a prototype. So this is kind of similar to the startup weekend, but we have really focused on the one thing, like how you can show your product in Sunday and no any PowerPoints, just show what you have done with one weekend. So far we have done now 20 events. Most of them in Eastern Europe, but 5 events in Africa, in Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, Kenya, South Africa. And Africa was really a really great experience for us, and we're hoping to go back. And actually, it happened like we had very creative events in Estonia, and then Google, Nokia, and BlackBerry actually invited us to Africa. Said, yeah, we really need this kind of format in Africa, and maybe you want to run it. And we was like, okay, why not, you know? And so far, with this 3 years, we have now had 20 events, which means that it's more than 1,300 participants. It has been now 243 different prototypes, and out of that is now 10 existing companies. So, which means that it's not only about just, you know, building a startup, but there are other values which is very important. So, and this is actually a photo I just made, you know, very few days ago in Belarus, where people was, yes, we made it, very happy in the Sunday. So. Our focus is just how push people into the limit, like how they can really in 48 hours build prototype and just, you know, execute it. And many times we have seen that winning teams almost don't sleep at all in these 48 hours. They are really want to just, you know, achieve it, and it's really great to see how this kind of energy is just, you know, thinking for everybody, like, oh, this team is so strong, you know, I want to beat that, you know. And this is our like focus, that we want to show that to start your project or to start your company startup, you actually need great team. You need idea indeed, you know, and you need very short time frame to do very basic prototype. So it's not anymore about the money and other things. So this is our focus, and the one thing, one of the biggest reasons why we started this non-profit foundation was the case that we saw that there are developers who are just, like, oh, it's boring what I'm doing here. I want to do some exciting stuff. And there are people who has ideas, people who maybe don't know any developer. So it's like, how we can connect them, how we can connect people with different backgrounds. In our events, by the way, have been like Skype founders has been in our events as hackers. In Estonia, we have seen at least 2 members of parliament just attending in our event as participants. They had some idea which they wanted to execute. And indeed, everybody in the event are equal. So it's not like, I am Skype founder, I am just king here, Everybody working in the team as like everybody are in the same level. And as we have focused into the Eastern Europe and into the Africas, and indeed our approach is like, especially in Eastern Europe or actually also in Africa, in Eastern Europe, we don't have any home market. We have 1.3 million people only in Estonia. You can imagine, like, there is no market. Many times when you're focusing into Estonian market, you will fail immediately because you don't even get any, just test feedback maybe in the many times. So that's why our focus is like, first day you should think about global market. And if you're running events in Russia and Belarus, the very one of the weaknesses what they are having is the language. We are doing all our events in English. Even in Russia, which is challenging indeed, because they're like, why I can't do presentation in Russia? I said, no, please, you can't. Because if you're really onto something serious and you go to Silicon Valley, what language you will talk? I will bet that this will be English. So, and this is really changing people's mindset, like, don't build the home market. Think about global problems. Think about this kind of like challenges what everybody in the world are actually facing. So I will just do some examples what has been happening in our event and just giving you a clue what is possible to do. So we had our third event in Estonia, which was for the non-profit ideas. And there was just one lady who was around 30 years, and she was just, hello, I'm here. I have a problem. How I can find nanny? So this was almost a 90-second speech, that's it. Because in these times there was no service in Estonia, and this was like non-profit event. But okay, fine, you can start with something small, like no problem in Estonia, but then go to the global one. And she found the team, and she was hacking like all weekend long, and then they had the prototype in the, actually not even prototype, but working website in Sunday. And just in first 24 hours, they had like 1,000 unique visitors already. And she was like, wow, I have now something. So, and now like 2 years later, they have companies, they're thinking about different markets, like different approaches, they're adding services. And I would say that for this lady, it would be very hard how to execute this idea. I know that actually Estonian government was trying to do the similar thing and was wasting like $100,000 and didn't get nothing. And we did this one weekend, which is just, examples that many times it's not about the money, it's really about the execution and screw it, let's do it attitude. So one of my favorite projects is from Uganda, from Kampala, and if you think that starting startup is hard, then think about Africa. I would say that it's near to the impossible to do startups in Africa. And we had one of the best events what we had in Africa was in Uganda. And so this team was focusing into something which might be not like very good idea if you think about Silicon Valley or US, but it was definitely a problem in local sites. It was how I can get right information about the gasoline prices. Because in Africa, information is still something which is very valuable. And they was focusing how to build the prototype with one weekend. There was many challenges because in here or in Estonia, it's very common that we have fast internet and so on. In Africa, we're always facing the problem, okay, basic things, venue, can we have really fast internet? In Nigeria, we had like 10 megabyte link and local people were like, yes, this is the fastest internet ever where I have been. And they was immediately opening torrents. I was like, no, don't do that. You are crashing our event. So, but in Uganda, they made the prototype, and then they was taking part in App Circus, which is one mobile app competition, and they was winning this, and then they was okay. You can go to the Barcelona into the Mobile Congress. And Garage48 paid for the ticket, and this lady or one of the team members is going into the airport, and KLM, one of the airlines, is just saying, oh, somebody paid for a ticket from Europe. Most likely this is scam. You can't fly. I was in phone and said, no, I paid for that. Believe me, this is not scam. We said, we don't care. It's like, so I was spending like 5 hours. I was this time in Valley. I was spending 5 hours with different like service like people from KLM, and then managed to buy a new ticket. So even to fly out of Africa is challenge, and they made it. So they was still find the solution, and then they was in Barcelona, and Barcelona jury was picking them like one of the 3 top ideas out of like 100 or 1,000 different ideas. And I'm not sure like how, because I was just trying to reach them, but I didn't get their last report. But indeed, it's not the things that they are actually now having already profitable business, but they have done some service which is used in Uganda. They have seen that if you can use the platform maybe for other things, you can think something which could be maybe big thing in the future in some other areas. Because in Africa, mobile is everything. In Kenya, there are living 40 million people. Out of that is like around 6 million having bank accounts. But more than 10 million people using text message-based banking. You just send text message, okay, this is $500 or whatever. So always, everything about mobile is very interesting in Africa. And this is the good part, that if we are running these events, and in Africa, we are many times also learning from the local people some different thinking, like how they see solutions or so on. And it's also actually giving something back for us, because this is non-profit foundation, and all founders are just working daily with their own startups. So also some problem which was funny, and it's some kind of hacker way. So it was, in Europe you can't use Netflix, Pandora, Hulu, and other thing, because there is some kind of laws, because of this rights and so on. And so it's like, people like, oh, let's do some whatever like solution, how to hack it. I can't describe even how they did it. But, they made it with 48 hours, and they had really problem after that how to keep the site, live, because there's too many people was really wanted to use that service. And so they had like 25,000 users with the worst week. It's like, wow, now we have experience how to keep the site live, and what it really means that in one day somebody will find your service, and you are facing like scalability problems. And so this was made in Latvia, and one of the examples what could be possibly launched in 48 hours. So there are some things what we have learned now out of these 20 events, because when we started it was hackathon, and now we are a little bit moving like bootcamp, because we have learned that, okay, you can build the product and prototype, but it's really hard to later on sell it or market it. So, and we have changed the format always and all the way. We are just analyzing, okay, what has been done great in this country and what has been changed. And we have like focused that the first day is really like how you can make the great team, how you can make plan, what has to be done in next 48 hours. Then the next day is about execution, just hack it, like build the prototype and just focus how it should be already be live in Saturday evening. And in Sunday, we are actually really doing trainings for them how to present the idea. Because for the many people, this is first time to go to the stage and say, hello, I'm whatever from this project, I'm speaking about this idea. And we have really rough format, it's 3 minutes. You can show only prototype, there's no any PowerPoint. You have to show what you have done with 48 hours. And so we have understood that, yeah, this is like, for the developers community, it's really hard how to sell and how to present your idea and so on. And main thing, even we started, we realized more and more that the biggest challenge for us is how we can find people from different areas, people who know what is the problems in whatever, in medical software or whatever, what is the problems with education and so on. Because usually people are kind of living their own world, They don't know too much what is happening in some other areas. And we have seen that if there are some expert who really knows the pain, who have really feel the pain and who really know this problem by so many details, then this is more, then there is so many more ways that this project can be successful. And also, like, if there is like in Friday, there is T formation, then has to be at least 4 people to get accepted for this event. There has to be somebody who knows indeed, back end, front end, somebody who knows about design, and somebody who knows project management, and somebody who knows marketing. And we are very rough on that, because people can hack their own stuff, whatever time. But in this event, it's all about networking and bringing different people into the one team. And in Friday, we are just going around and deciding which kind of teams will be accepted for this challenge and which kind of not. And we are just indeed, motivating them that maybe this time you can't execute your project, but just find us a team and just try to enjoy the next 48 hours and just try to learn something new. Exactly. So learning. Many people actually are attending now in our events because they can do something what they don't do maybe daily. Like, if they're working with Skype and they are doing some backend stuff, then maybe they can do mobile thing in our event. And this photo is made in Nigeria, by the way. It was really challenging indeed even to have visa for Nigeria, because for Nigerians it's really tough to go to the world, and they want to feel this pain if we actually want to have Nigerian visa. And this country is really, really challenging, but they have, actually this is like one of the fastest growing countries. In the 50s they had only 50 million, and now they have 150 million. So they have tripled these last 63 years. And so there are like so many things are so broken. And when we was doing event, I was flying to Nigeria, I had 10,000 in my pocket, cash. Because they don't trust you with any money transfer. You have to pay everywhere cash. And as you can see, this was just usual security guys. They had guns like that, And actually, this guy was friendly in this photo. In our last days, I don't know what happened, but there was having some issue because we agreed that we can do one transfer before event. And we did it. We showed the papers, and they was like, no, you have to still pay cash now in Sunday. It was like, no, we already paid for that. So these 2 security guys was actually kind of holding us hostage later on. It was like, you must be joking. I said, no, you can't leave. You have to pay here in cash. I said, no. So we had to take some calls and really explain that we'll call to the different embassies, whatever things. And then they was letting us go. It was like, wow, this was challenging. So for us, running events is also many times the great thing how we can have new experience, but indeed we actually don't we don't want to find this kind of problems indeed, because these cons can easily kill people. And the one thing what we actually faced in Nigeria is that we was ending our event. Usually the event is running 48 hours, but people have to leave and go to the home, just to have some sleep. And they was afraid to go home at midnight, because somebody can steal their computer. So we had to hire a bus who would just, go around the city and, okay, you're living here, okay, you can go.
So just to be clear, it may not be easy to see given the lighting.
Okay. But
behind, and this gentleman up front, he's one of your winners, a winning company or team?
No, actually, this is the one of our co-founders who was. This is also Estonian.
So,
but this black guy is not the winner, yeah.
So this is the security guard with an AK-47. Okay, protecting the Garage48 guy. Okay.
And this is so usual, they have everybody guns like that, And I don't know, they are really, really okay, I'm in America now. Okay, you have also guns, by the way, but they have more, believe me. And yeah, and there are too many accidents happens with that. So, and the last lesson which I tell you what we have learned now out of these 3 years is that many projects or prototypes and teams has actually motivation to really build company. But how we can keep motivating for them, because 48 hours is just one weekend, So we are doing now partnerships with different accelerators or incubators. There is a seed camp which has already received, I believe, 4 companies who have going to seed camp, have received money and building the product. And Startup Sauna, which is for Finland, which is government accelerator system, and you don't have to give any equity for them. And we have now changed the systems that we are actually announcing some winners 1 month later. when we see that the team is still together, they are still building the prototype, and they're still showing that there is huge amount of motivation and chemistry between the people. So because, yeah, as I said, it's really, one weekend is just something, there's something what happened before and something what happened after the event. Okay, and I have almost running out of the time, so I will just very shortly speak about my own background, because as I said, all founders of Garage48 is actual active startup entrepreneurs. I have been now in startup field like 6 years. My first startup was United Dogs, which was for like Facebook, but you can do profile for your dog and cat. You have dogs there in America, but we did it like in worldwide. We had 16 different languages, 350,000 different users, but we failed. There's many reasons why we failed, but it was, I think that it's really great like learning thing, because now my next startup, which is Pipedrive, which is CRM, which is kind of like non-sexy, like CRM can't be ever sexy. It's B2B and so on. But we have 5 founders, and 2 of them has been worked in sales here at 10+ years. And in CRMs, there are one big problem, like even you need to use software, many people hate CRMs because they have very bad user experience. These are really like complicated and so on. So we have focused like how we can build software from end user who is actual salesman, how we can build software which they actually would love to use it. And if we did research, we realized that people love simple tools like paper and pen is actually the best tool indeed usually. Sort of like Excel spreadsheet is always great because you can handle that. So we have focused how we can build pipeline, like people will see where is your deals actually standing, and you can just take one deal and move into the next stage with just very easy way. And we can just hold the salesman focus in one thing in your pipeline. And you can do all the information adding in just this page, which is the main page. And we have been quite successful, I would say. 2 years ago, in 2011, we was part of AngelBad, which is quite well-known accelerator founded by former Google people, quite similar to the Y Combinator. And it happened 2011 in August. So, and as you can see, so this is August. Immediately after that, we really found the key how to be successful. So we really, and the one thing, but the first we are different, but we have 5 languages. Our biggest market is now US indeed, second is UK, but third is Brazil, because Brazil is hugely and rapidly growing, and they would love to have software in their own language, which is Brazil Portuguese. And last year we made seed round, but we are always close to the break even because we are really focusing on one thing, how to make our customers happy and just how to make money, basically. So this was about Pipedrive, and the one thing what we are doing more and more with Garage that we are actually bringing people from different countries to the one event. This is the photo made when we was going to a Russian event. This is in Russian train. When we was having event in Belarus, we was bringing 25 people from Estonia and Latvia with bus to the Belarus event. And this is really great to see how like people from different cultures are like enjoying the event and doing some new startups. And we have seen that this is not too common in Europe. This is so common in Valley. But we have seen that this can be really raise your possibilities how you can be successful. So if you are interested, just check this website, follow us in Twitter and in Facebook, and I would be really like want to see somebody from Valley just attending our event. And we will have actually next event after 2 weeks in Tallinn and then in Ukraine. Ukraine will be actually very interesting, I believe. So this is my contacts. You can find me in LinkedIn, Twitter, this is my email. And that's it.
Thank you, Ragnar.
Thank you.
Question in the back, the man in the hat.
Are you working at all with the Startup Weekend?
What?
Startup Weekend.
Yeah, Startup Weekend. So we are running similar events, but we at this point don't do too much cooperation with them. So we have actually our local organization has been doing Startup Weekends also, but the different approach what we have taken is the case that in every Garage48 event, there are like our people who are taking care of the basic things, just to be sure that the quality is always the same. Startup Weekend, you can just raise hands that I want to do this event, but in our case, we are just really looking how we can bring best mentors and other things. And so we have different things, but we are running different models.
So ahead of time, you
What?
You sort of filter ahead which teams are going to participate.
Actually, teams are formed in Friday in the place. Everybody can go to the stage and say, hello, I have this idea. And then everybody can choose, I want to work with this guy. So participants are actually deciding in which team or in which ideas they want to work. But we have to be sure that they have enough manpower. And you have to start the thing in our event. You can't do anything before. We have seen some people who was trying to do that, but it's not, you can't just lie, it's somebody's know anyway.
Julianne, did you have a question?
Yeah, can you talk a little about your strategy for choosing your event locations? So when you go to a country like Uganda, for example, are you going in because you have partners and resources already there, or are you identifying a place and then building your network from the ground up?
So, okay, when we was doing events in Africa, yeah, so we need basically the 3-4 things. The first thing is local community, like, I'll say interested about the event. If we can find local supports, then great, Then we definitely, the next thing, we should have sponsors who can, pay for, like, that mentors can fly over and so on. But basically, yeah, the first thing is local people, like, if we were going to Africa, I was emailing, like, into 10 different countries and trying to understand what has been little bit similar events, what has been already done in the country. Whatever, like, open, whatever coffee or whatever, And we're having events in English, which means that it's hard to make events in Senegal or in Côte d'Ivoire, which are mainly speaking French, So I would say that local support is the most important in African case, and in Eastern Europe now we are really trying to connect, like, Estonia is small, Latvia is small, and even Poland might be small, by the way. So, but we try to really like build bigger community now. So we are just speaking, okay, how we can add more countries and how we can have this, like, really, never know, in one day you will do your startup, maybe after the Garage48, and oh, this was great cry from whatever, Croatia or from Belarus. I will just call them and speak about the idea and so on. So we are just trying to build bigger community now in Europe.
Ragnar, thank you very much. Tania, thank you for coming all the way from Minsk.
Well, thank you, Burton. It's kind of challenging to talk after Ragnar's introduction. Well, but I will do my best. I'm not sure how many of you knows actually where is Belarus is located. Well, actually, Belarus is located kind of in between Russia on the crossroad from Russia to the European Union, bordering, neighboring from the west Poland, Baltic countries from the north, and Russia and Ukraine from the east. And to give you a short description of Belarus tech potential, I would say it's a huge number, like 25,000 developers and ICT specialists, which is quite great. And being here for almost a week, I have an impression like almost every second Silicon Valley companies hire a developer in Minsk. So yeah, no wonder ICT sector is one of the major sectors in Belarus economy. We enjoy the presence of such international brands like Microsoft, Cisco, IBM, and also Belarus is known for its outsourcing, offshoring potential, with 4 major companies being a part of the top 100 global outsourcing list. And there are a few examples of really successful product development stories. World of Tanks producer, GameStream, is based in Minsk, and Viber, which is a mobile communication mobile application, is produced in Brest region, actually in Belarus. It's a joint Belarusian-Israeli joint venture company. Well, what is really missing there? Entrepreneurship culture, business skills, understanding and knowledge on how to go global, build scalable startups. What was actually mentioned by Ragnar, English skills, English language skills, etc., etc. So here comes the role of BEL.BIZ, actually my company, a company fostering entrepreneurship and innovation in Belarus. Well, just covered by Ragnar, we organize a lot of international and regional startup events in Belarus. The latest one we held early in March, Garage48, just to show you a different picture. It was really, well, challenging but fun, great. and actually we enjoy a lot of drive and energy, and many people in Belarus looking forward to host another Garage48 back to Minsk. And it was in English, by the way. Well, another one, startup competition we held last Monday, actually a week ago. A joint startup competition in English with a top-notch accelerator from Finland, Startup Sauna, actually a program which gave birth to Angry Bird, great Finnish startup. Well, and the largest international event organized in Belarus each November is the Global Entrepreneurship Week. Last November, we were happy to have Burton among our guests, and actually the coolest part of the event was the first English language startup competition, BEL.BIZ Battle. Well, and why would we do all those events and initiatives for startups in Belarus? Actually, the reason is to screen, support, coach, and mentors all those tech talents, Belarusian startups, which work actually today on their first million in tech business, mainly in tech business. And by the way, the government doesn't really want them to, to become millionaires, so we do. BEL.BIZ does. And actually, our next step would be to support them and to accelerate them. So hopefully next month, in April, we're launching the International Entrepreneurship School in Minsk. Later in summertime, we're planning to launch a co-working center, startup hub in Minsk in Belarus. And in fall, an international international accelerator program backed by a seed investment fund, which we're raising today. So those are our initiatives for the current year, and our main goal being here in Silicon Valley is to find partnerships with major accelerator programs, investors, mentors. Actually, the idea is to increase the quality and the quantity of the startup deals coming from Belarus. Well, I'm really proud to be part of a great team, which is a team of smart, self-made, well-educated, multilingual people, which is BEL.BIZ senior management team. And hopefully, with the support of our major international partners, USAID and International Finance Corporation, will be doing great things. I'm looking forward to a very intensive, active, and fun period in front of us, ahead of us. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Tania. Krzysztof is our first Polish speaker. Tania is our first speaker from Belarus. Please tell us what's going on in Warsaw at GammaRebels, HardGamma, the Gamma family. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about being first Polish speaker here. What's happening in Warsaw? It's snowing right now, so you're really incredibly lucky to have such a nice weather, and I think it fosters innovation as well. I'm running early stage fund and also an accelerator based in Warsaw. Can I have the switcher? Thank you. So yesterday we went to Sonoma to try some of the wonderful Californian wines, and we got the question, where actually Poland lies, between which countries? So the usual answer would be between Germany and Russia, because there is a tiny part of Russia north of Poland. Right now we have Belarus and Ukraine between us and Russia, and we have Sweden in the north, Czech and Slovak Republic in the south. We are based in Warsaw, but probably if you're in the tech entrepreneurship, you might have heard that Krakow became kind of outsourcing hub for many of US startups. Also, Wrocław is quite strong in terms of the computer science talent. Poznań and Gdańsk are also very active. So these are the cities you might want to visit if you come over and you're looking either for developers or interesting startups. A little bit about myself. I started as a corporate guy. I worked for P&G, PricewaterhouseCoopers in Germany. P&G was a project between UK and US.
Referring to Procter & Gamble?
Yeah, P&G, Procter & Gamble. We've been doing implementation of Epiphany. Right now, Steve Blank, guru of the startup world, is very well known for this product. It was actually the first implementation. I was a part of that. It was 2000. In 2001, I came back from PricewaterhouseCoopers to join a startup. in Warsaw, and then I was recruited to Lycus, so that was the opportunity I couldn't say no to. Over 7 months, we prepared the Polish version of Lycus, and the day before the launch, we were shut down because the bubble was already bursting. So I have some bruises from the bubble one. I came back to my university where I was active as an academic from 2000 to 2008 as an assistant professor. Almost finished my PhD on open source adoption. So it's cool to be college dropout here. I'm PhD dropout at least. And then I started, and then I was recruited by McKinsey. For 2 years, I was without any technical project. So I left, started management consulting company focused on TMT sector. Over time, I started to do angel investments, and in 2010, I structured it in the terms of the proper fund. So how the startup scene looks like in Poland, it's very similar to what's happening here. We have all the bar camps or startup weekends, conferences. Actually, I was the founder of one of the largest bar camps in Poland. 2007, I brought Startup Weekend to Poland. 2011, and I'm on the program committee of 2 largest Polish tech conferences, international ones. So if you're interested in coming over as a speaker, you can approach me after the lecture. Our company consists of 2 parts. One is investment arm, another is consulting arm. And here we are under the umbrella of an accelerator, GammaRebels, which is run primarily by Magda with my support. What we offer over $15,000 investment for 10% equity. We offer support of the mentors. We have 70 of them, 40 of them are international ones. We have a nice office space, which we just opened in Warsaw. And because of our connections, we are able to deliver the demo day in London and also bring some of the companies to Silicon Valley on the digital mission, which we are on right now. We did 6 startups in the first edition in 2011, and we did 7 in 2012. The edition we just finished in January 2013. In addition to the capital investment, we have $80,000 in credit for Microsoft Azure. It's $60,000 and $20,000 for Google App Engine from Google. So that's how the demo day looked like. It was actually the very opening of our new space, over 8,000 square feet in Warsaw. So again, if you happen to be in Warsaw, you are more than welcome to visit us and work out of our premises or host your event there. That's the map. That's Old Cheese Factory. So very impressive building. Hewlett-Packard and Microsoft are official partners of the space. In terms of our portfolio, including my angel investments, I did 38 entries over the last 5 years, actually. 31 still active, some of them as angel investors, some of them from the fund, some of them through our accelerator. We are also an investor in Springbird in London. Right now, the Springbird Internet of Things edition will commence in Cambridge end of March. And 2 weeks ago, Springbird merged with Techstars, as you might have heard. So right now, we are investors in Techstars London. We got some recognition in Europe in terms of being either shortlisted, highly commended, or even awarded as our companies or our fund. There is the large awards event run by TechCrunch Mike Butcher. It used to be in London last year. Actually, it was this year for last year. It was in Berlin. In terms of our ecosystem in Poland, we have plenty of money. So you might consider coming there and applying for European Union grants or European Union-backed incubators, European Union-backed VC funds. We are on private money. We're one of very few funds solely based on private LPs. And actually on this tour, there's Marcin from Hedgehog Fund. Can you stand up? Another fund purely based on private LPs with good entrepreneurs behind it. So they did Polish Monster. We have some accelerators in terms of being YC-like or Techstars-like. There are 4 of them right now in Poland. Engineering talent is there. Who is familiar with TopCoder? TopCoder is a contest sponsored by Google, actually, to identify, Google is one of the sponsors, there are many more of them, but basically you can look for top-notch algorithmic talent there. And there is a ranking of universities, and if you go there, you will see that top 3 universities constantly over the last couple of years are Shanghai University, St. Petersburg University in Russia, and Warsaw University in Poland. There are actually 3 Polish universities, Warsaw ranked 3rd, Krakow ranked 16th, and University of Wrocław ranked 25th. Coming back to the map I showed you at the beginning. These are 4 US universities.
Krzysztof,
Yeah.
do those rankings map to meteorite impacts at all around the world?
To
Meteorite impacts?
meteorite.
Yes. Okay.
So, University of Florida is 26. I believe Stanford is 38. So you should encourage your students to be more active in the competition. But I think that's a good measure of where the talent is right now. So Waterloo of Canada, I'm hearing that is a very good source of computer science engineers as well. For instance, Joel Spolsky, who is a guru of computer science talent recruitment, recruits from Waterloo very actively. The yellow arrows are other European universities, many of them from Russia or from Ukraine. I believe Belarus is there as well. So out of top 50, 18 universities are from Europe. So we have money, we have engineering talent, we have well-shaped economy. After the crisis in 2008, Poland was the only country in Europe with positive GDP numbers. So our prime minister, right back in the right upper corner, this is the picture from the Q1. It was just after Q1 2009, so where the whole world basically sunk into depression, and we had 0.8 positive growth. After the second quarter 2009, still 0.1. And comparing to Estonia, because Burton asked me to compare it a little bit, I think Estonia went into recession. Right now it's back on track. We are the top line. Of course, it's relatively strong economy because it looks nice on the chart. It's still developing economy. We are still much behind US or UK or Germany. We are also relatively happy. I think that Poles are very well known for complaining about everything, but it's not true. We can smile. And if you look at the chart, having the same GDP per capita, we're actually slightly more happy than Estonians are. That's the chart from OECD Factbook. So if you go to OECD, this is economic research organization, you can pull down the report both on Estonia and Poland. Very interesting numbers. So what are the challenges we face right now? Because of the abundance of European Union money, the valuations are extremely high. I would say higher than Berlin, higher than London even.
Can you give one example? What do you mean higher valuation?
So, for instance, if people show up at the door with the PowerPoint slide, they expect, quote, unquote, $3,000 just for building the prototype. While in the UK, they're quite happy to go through Springboard with $20,000, being already established company where the founders and family invested a little bit. Because European Union grants cutoff point starts at 2,100 euros, which is $3,100. We have, unfortunately, not too many serial tech entrepreneurs. It's coming, but as you remember from the Ragnar's presentation, the existence of Skype was very important in terms of educating people who left and founded their companies. Also, we are mostly sales market, so there is no serious R&D, maybe besides Google and Intel doing some things on international level. It's rather technical sales support, even if it's called R&D center, and no serious decisions about technology directions are being taken in Poland. There is no clear success story as Skype so far, and also there is no country branding. We've heard from you that there is this notion of Estonian mafia. I would very much love to have Polish mafia notion as well, with the same very positive context. Also, the last point, yeah, that's true. Wrocław and Krakow, Wrocław and Krakow became hubs for software development outsourcing, and it's draining talent out of the startup community. So it's much more easier to join Google or to join Intel or to join Motorola and have very safe living as opposed to risk and startups. By the way, just to give you indication of the ratio of wages, experienced mobile programmer in Krakow costs up to $50,000 a year. So I believe it's 1/3 of what you pay here in the Valley. Also, after 2 editions of the GammaRebels accelerator, we have some doubts about the acceleration model. Maybe not per se, but I think that the proliferation of accelerators is a wrong thing. I think what we will be facing will be kind of concentration in that segment. So that's why we started to invest in Springboard, and we're very happy to be part of Texas London. So maybe over time we will rather fuel our startups to London directly instead of running our accelerator. These are the thoughts we are having. So some selected portfolio companies very quickly. Showroom, the largest success so far. E-commerce platform for independent fashion designers. We invested January 2012, September 2012. We helped them raise Series A with Burton International. So right now, the founders are still majority shareholders. They are looking to raise end of this year and replicate the model in other countries. Keep your mind, Arek, if you could stand up. Company securing rights to the board games, which were blockbusters, and releasing them on iPad. One title, Hacienda, which was blockbuster in Germany, already released, and the second in the production. So this is actually the picture from Bitspiration conference. We tried to model it after South by South. South by South is too crowded. I've been there 3 times in a row. Didn't do it this year. I hope we have to look for other cool places to go, so I encourage you to go to Krakow. Abwetika, one of the best Polish mobile labs with dozens of own products, not here unfortunately with us. Manubia, Marek, if you could stand up, e-commerce analytics company. So they are basically scrapping the data for almost every e-commerce transaction in Poland, and they have like 3 years of history in their database, and they are providing you with analytics upon that. Intel Clinic, Kamil, if you could stand up, hardware startup. The guys are a mixture of hardware engineers, software engineers, and you are a neurosurgeon. So they developed on prototype for brainwave electrodes, and the first product based on that will be a sleeping mask connected to the software. As you probably know, no mobile app on phone can help you with this, cannot help you to improve your sleeping pattern because the sensors there are not accurate enough, and they are basically also measuring the movements of other people in your sleeping room. So this should be released on Kickstarter in 2 months. So if you want to subscribe for information, Kamil is here with us. BusyFlow. Integration of all of your cloud applications which your team is using in one place, Yammer-like approach. Codility, one of my first angel investments, actually with Codility as the UK company. I was here in Burton's lecture 2010. This is a tool allowing you to screen out bad programmers from your recruitment deal flow. So your senior software engineers will only interview the ones who are up to certain skills. Macroscope, another mobile app purely focused on iOS with the capabilities of doing desktop macros applications as well. And also with us on the tour is Marcin, if you can stand up, one of the best Windows mobile developers in Poland, part of BizPark One here in the US because he incorporated in US already. He's a friend of us. Thanks for having us. These are the contact data. If you have any questions, this is, I believe, the time for them.
Great. Chris, thank you. Q&A. Yes, sir.
In the U.S., about $25 billion is invested in venture capital in startups each year, and about a quarter of that goes in Silicon Valley. Can you give us some numbers for Poland and maybe Eastern Europe?
Not really. It's hard to measure. I believe we are more private equity market than VC market. And if you will leave me the card, I can provide you the detailed statistics.
All the way from Warsaw, folks.
What has been,
Ragnar.
What has been most successful startup out of Poland so far?
So definitely one of them was Allegro, the auction platform, Polish eBay, so to speak, which was acquired by Naspers, South African media conglomerate. And recently, Ivona Software, so text-to-speech software, which was acquired by Amazon. I've been hearing rumors that for $40 million, but don't quote me on that.
Okay. And I believe there was one of your social network which was quite strong recently, Nasza Klasa or what?
Nasza Klasa. Yeah, it's not doing very well. Facebook is crushing every social network in the world besides them.
Besides Latvia, actually. Latvians has their own like draugaid, which means friends that say are leaders still. Russia also.
I think Odnoklasniki in Russia are doing also good. Nasza Klasa is in decline in terms of the page views.
It was bought by Russian capital, if you want.
Anne?
I believe you mostly spoke about IT-related startups. What does the startup scene look like in other sectors?
I would say scarce, because all other sectors are more capital intensive than the software and mobile apps. And still, most of the support mechanism by Polish government, which actually created the abundance of startups right now in the software and mobile, are not so targeted at the other areas. In terms of industries, we are quite strong in aviation. Again, this is quite interesting because I think that the division which existed in the communist bloc has still some influence right now. So for instance, Bulgaria was doing hardware in the communist bloc. Poland was not doing hardware. We had a guy who had a prototype similar to Apple's first computer. The computer was called K202, and he was literally prohibited from manufacturing that in Poland because Bulgaria was supposed to do hardware. We are supposed to do software, aviation, mining.
Do you see growing interest among students in entrepreneurship? We heard
Yes.
many times here about what's happening in Helsinki with Auto,
Yeah.
which is exploding. Are you seeing the same in Poland? And
Definitely.
coming up?
So 15 years ago or 10 years ago, the ideal career path was to join an international company. I think right now being in startups is trendy. It's very popular. Also, I think it's quite easy to get the initial grant of up to $300,000 without giving any equity from Polish government. So you have to invest 20% of that in order to deliver the project. But if you're just graduating and you have not too much to risk, people see it as a good option. And also being in a startup community brings you to the international level as opposed to work locally, which is also quite appealing.
Question.
So can you tell me how much harder is it to maybe start a company, compared when I use your company as an incubator and when I use Polish government or all the incubators that assist our Polish universities?
Could you speak up a bit?
So basically, what I'm saying is that how much more, how much harder is it to start a company with your venture capital, and how much harder is it?
So, for instance, we require a working prototype even when you apply for the accelerator. So you can go to the government with your PowerPoint slides and get, as I said, up to $300,000 without anything working even. You have to sustain certain milestones over time, and you can face the risk of paying it back to the government if you don't deliver. In our case, you have to have working prototype. We're investing, but you don't face the risk that you have to pay it back.
Ragnar, why don't you come up? We're going to spend the next couple minutes talking about Estonia versus Poland. Krzysztof,
who seems to be more happy?
Krzysztof, what are the top two Polish universities when it comes to spin-outs, student spin-outs? So not professor spinouts, but
student spinouts. I think Warsaw University, very good university, both in terms of the computer science, but also in general. And I'm not sure if it's Krakow or Gdańsk or Wrocław. I think they're on this similar level.
Okay. And Ragnar, how would you compare Estonian universities in terms of student spinouts?
I really don't know. I'm honest. Yeah, Herti, maybe you know?
Technical university, probably.
Yeah, so.
Technical universities,
Yeah.
The most where the best students come from. So I'm actually also a student of Tallinn Technical University.
Yeah, but we have also Tartu University, so it's kind of, we have like the capital is Tallinn, and then we have one city where it's like university which is established in 1636. So they have also quite good something. But I'm really not too strong in this field. I think that we don't have too many good examples in this field. I was just counting that we have like 20 startups which has been doing already 1 million revenue or has been raised at least 500,000. So this is just number which is very big for so small nation.
Okay. Questions? Yes.
Can we go into bureaucracy? It's really fast and simple in Estonia to get incorporated. How is it involved?
I believe it's not so fast and simple. So you can incorporate over the internet right now, but on the standard company agreement. If you want to make some changes, and usually with the accelerator or investment firm, you want to have certain provisions. So it takes up to a month to get the company registered, which is quite long, I would say. In terms of the taxation, right now in this year, I think we have similar solutions. So you can be tax-free, corporate tax-free in Estonia, and also you can be corporate tax-free in Poland, but they are going, unfortunately, to change it. So I think you guys are much wiser keeping that consistent, because I have many friends from Western Europe actually incorporating in Estonia, especially from the Scandinavian countries, because of that tax regime. Yeah, so I would believe it's more complicated in Poland than in Estonia, but overall, it's not very complicated in the end.
But there is also one thing that if you will to company in Estonia or in Poland, and you want to raise money from Valley, you have to make company in Valley. Yeah. And we just feel the pain what it means to change all the structure. So I don't know. If somebody's today asking for me, I would say to your company in Delaware immediately. So because you will just save the time. And many EU investors actually already making investments directly into the Delaware company, but it's just my view, because we were spending 6 months and like 50,000 US to the lawyers just to rearrange everything, and now with some law, by the way, that you can't open bank account for US bank. You can't open bank account not so easy as it was. I don't know why they have changed it just recently. So it's today actually. If I'm looking to startups which we have in Estonia, many of them has already UK or US companies. There are a few of them. So Serum Turnaround is the only one who have received like VC money into the Estonian entity. But this was the last one, most likely.
I would say the first step should be London, UK, because first of all, from the US perspective, it might be acceptable in some cases for the center of financial community in Europe. It's there because it's London. And also there is very appealing investment scheme for private investors, angel investors, called Enterprise Investment Scheme. So if you invest up to £1 million, which I believe is like 1.3, 1.4 million dollars, you can deduct 30% of them, of that money from your yearly tax you pay to your IRS. So because of that, there are many angel money, many angel investors and a lot of angel money available in London. So it's very easy to raise private money early stage in London as opposed to the rest of Europe.
We're going to call a halt now. We're going to invite everybody to come down and meet the speakers. I would also like to once again thank our European government partners, so Invest Northern Ireland, Vinnova, as well as Enterprise Estonia for sponsoring the speaker series again this year. Thanks also to Auric here in the Valley. Krzysztof, Ragnar, thank you for coming in. Andrus, Tania, we look forward to seeing you next year again, starting January 2014 for year 6 of European Entrepreneurship and Innovation. Thank you very much.